As today, the income tax bill 2025 is being launched. Um, First we will see what are the clauses. Each and every clause we going to read it out. So, clause one, short title, extent and commencement. Clause two, definition. Clause three, tax year. Tax year important. Chapter two, base of clause, base of charge. Clause 4, charge of income tax. Clause 5, scope of in total income. Clause 5, residential status in India, residence in India. Clause 7, income deemed to be received. Clause 8, income on receipt of capital asset or stock in trade for specific person from specific entity. Income on receipt. Clause 9, income deemed to accrue arise in India. Clause 10, appropriation of income between spouse or governed by the Portuguese Civil Code. Charge 3, Chapter 3, income which do not form part of total income. Income not to be included in total income. Clause 11. Incomes not included in total income. B. Income not to be included in total income of political parties and electoral trust. Clause 12. Income not to include in the total income of electoral political party and electoral trust. Chapter 6. Chapter 4. Computation of total income. Head income. 13. Clause 13. Head of income. Clause 14. Income not forming part of the total income or total expenditure relation to such income. B. Salaries. Clause 15. Salaries. Clause 16. Income from salary. Clause 17. Perquisites. Clause 18. Profit in lieu of salary. Clause 19. Deduction from salary. C. Income from house property. Income from house property. Clause 20. Income from house property. Clause 21. Determination of annual value. Clause 22. Deduction from income from house property. Class 23, arrear in rent, unrealized rent, and receivable subsequently. Class 24, property owned by co-owners. Class 25, interpretation. D, profit and gain of business and profession. Class 26, income from head profit and gain of business and profession. Class 27, manner of computing profit and manner of computing gain of business and profession. Class 28, rent, rate, taxes, repairs and insurance. Class 29, deduction relating to employees' welfare. Class 30, deduction on certain premium. Class 31, deduction from bad debts and provision of bad debts and provision of debt. Class 32, other reduction. Class 33, reduction from depreciation. Class 34, general condition for allowable deduction. Class 35, amount not deductible in certain circumstances. Class 36, expenses and payments not deductible in certain circumstances. Class 37, certain deduction allowed on actual payment on basis only. Class 38, certain sums are deemed as profit and gains of business and profession. Class 29, computation of actual cost. Clause 40, special provision for computation of cost of acquisition of certain assets. Clause 41, return down value of depreciation asset. Clause 42, capitalization impact of foreign exchange fluctuation. Clause 43, taxation of foreign exchange fluctuation. Clause 44, amortization of certain primary expenses. Clause 45, expenditure of certain scientific expenditure. Clause 46, capital expenditure of special businesses. Class 47, expenditure on agriculture extension project and skill development project. Class 48, total development accounts, coffee development accounts, and travel development accounts. Class 49, site restoration fund. Class 50, special provision for the case of trade. provision and similar of class 14 amortization of expense in the prospective certain minerals. Class 52 amortization of expenditure for telecommunication services, amalgamation, demerger, scheme of voluntary retirement, etc. Class 53 full value of consideration for transfer of asset other than capital asset in certain cases. Class 54 business of prospective of mineral oils. Class 55 insurance business. Class 56 special provision case of interest income of specified financial institution. Class 57 revenue recognition, construction and service contracts. Class 58 special provision for computing profit and gains of business or profession are presumptive on the basis of certain conditions. Class 59 chargeability of royalty and chargeability of fee for technical service in hand of non-resident. Class 60 deduction of head office expenditure in case of non-resident. Class 61 special provision for computation of income on presumptive basis respect to a certain business activities, a certain non-resident. Section Class 62 Maintenance of Books of Account. Class 63 Tax Audit. Class 64 Facilitation Payment in electronic mode. Class 65 Special Provision Computing Deduction in case of business recognition and cooperative banks. Class 66 Interpretation. Key Capital Gain. Class 67 Capital Gains. Class 68 Capital Gains on distribution of asset by companies in liquidation. Capital Clause 69 Capital gains on purchase of company of its own share or other specified security. Clause 70 transactions not regarded as transfer. Clause 71 withdrawal of exemption certain cases. Clause 72 mode of computation of capital gain. Clause 73 cost in reference to certain mode of acquisition. Clause 74 special provision for computation of capital gain in case of depreciable asset. Clause 75 special provision of cost of acquisition in the case of depreciable asset. Clause 76 special provision for computation of capital gain in case of market linked debentures. Clause 77 special provision for computation of capital gain in case of slum sale. Clause 78 special provision for full value of consideration in certain cases. Clause 79 special provision in the full value of consideration for transfer of share from other than quoted share. Clause 80 fair value deemed to be full value of consideration in certain cases. Clause 81 advance money received. Clause 82 profit on sale of property used for resident. Clause 83 capital gain on transfer of land used for agriculture purpose not to be charged in certain cases. Clause 74 capital gain on compulsory acquisition of land and compulsory acquisition of building not to be charged to certain cases. Clause 85 capital gain not to be charged in the investment certain bonds. Clause 86 certain capital gains on transfer of certain capital asset not to be charged to case of investment in residential property house. Clause 87 exemption of capital gains or transfer of asset in the case of shifting of industrial undertaking from urban area. Clause 80 exemption of certain gains and transfer of asset in case of shifting of industrial and undertaking from urban area to other special economic zone. Clause 89 extension of time for acquisition of new asset or deposition or investing of amount of capital gain. Clause 90 meaning of adjusted cost of improvement, cost of acquisition. Clause 91 reference to valuation of officer. F income from our sources. Clause 92 income from our sources. Clause 93 reduction. Clause 94 amount not deductible. Clause 95 profit chargeable to tax. Chapter 5 income from other person included in total income of assessee. Section 9, Clause 96, transfer of income without transfer of asset. Clause 97, chargeability of income in transfer of asset. Clause 98, transfer and recoverable transfer defined. Clause 99, income of individual to include income of spouse, income of minor children. Clause 100, liability of a person in respect of income included in income of another person. Chapter 6 Aggregation of Income. Class 101 Total Income. Class 102 Unexplained Credits. Class 103 Unexplained Investment. Class 104 Unexplained Asset. Class 105 Unexplained Expenditure. Class 106 Amount borrowed or repaid through negotiable instrument or hundi, etc. Clause 107 Charge of tax. Chapter 7 Set off or carry forward of set off or loss. Clause 108 Set off of loss under the same head of income. Clause 109 Set off of loss under the other head of income. Clause 110 Carry forward a set off of loss from house property. Clause 111 Carry forward a set off of loss from capital gain. Uh, Clause 112 Carry forward a set off of business loss. Clause 116 Set off or carry forward losses from speculative business. Clause 114 Set off and carry forward of losses from specified businesses. Clause 105 Set off and carry forward of loss from specified activity. Clause 106 Treatment accumulated losses and unabsorbed depreciation in amalgamation and demerger. Clause 109 Treatment of accumulated losses and unabsorbed depreciation in the scheme of amalgamation certain cases. Clause 118 Carry forward a set of losses and unabsorbed depreciation in the business of reorganized and cooperative banks. Clause Carry forward set of losses of non-permitted to certain cases. Clause 120 Not set off of loss against undisclosed income, consequent search and requisition of survey. Clause 110 Submission of return of losses. Chapter 8 Deduction to be made in computation of total income. A. General. Clause 112 Deduction to be made in computation of total income. B. Deduction in respect of certain payments. Clause 123 Deduction in life insurance premium, deduction in deferred annuity, deduction in contribution of provident fund. Clause 124 Deduction respect of employer contribution to pension scheme of central government. Clause 125 Deduction respect of contribution to Agnipath scheme. Clause 126 Deduction respect of health insurance premium. Clause 127 Reduction respect of maintenance of including medical treatment of dependent who is a person with disability. Clause 120 Deduction in respect of medical treatment. Class 129 Deduction respect of interest on loan taken in higher education. Class 130 Deduction respect of interest on loan taken in residential property. Class 131 Deduction respect of interest on a loan taken from certain house property. Class 132 Deduction respect of purchase of electric vehicle. Class 133 Deduction respect of donation to certain fund and charitable institution. Class 120 134 Deduction respect of rent paid. Class 135 Deduction respect of certain donations and specific scientific research and rural development. Class 126 Deduction respect of contribution given by companies to political parties. Class 137 Deduction respect of contribution given by any person to political party. C. Deduction respect of certain incomes. Class 138 Deduction respect of profit and gains from industrial undertaking or enterprise engaged in infrastructure development. Clause 139 Deduction respect of profit and gain by undertaking or under enterprise engaged in development of special economic zone. Clause 140 Special provision respect of specific business. Clause 141 Deduction respect of profit and gain from certain industrial undertaking. Clause 142 Deduction respect of profit and gain from housing project. Clause 143 Special provision respect of certain undertaking in northeastern states. Clause 144 Special provision respect of newly established units and special economic zone. Clause 145 Deduction respect of business engaged in the collection and processing of biodegradable waste. Clause 146 Deduction respect of additional employee costs. Clause 147 Deduction of income of offshoring banking units and units of international financial service centers. Clause 148 Deduction respect of certain intercorporate dividend. Clause 149 deduction in respect of income of cooperative societies. Clause 150 deduction respect certain income of producers company. Clause 151 reduction respect of royalty income, etc. and author of certain books other than textbooks. Clause 152 reduction respect of royalty on patents. E. Income respect of other incomes. Reduction in the clause 153 deduction respect of interest on deposit. Other deductions. Clause 154 reduction in case of person with disability. Chapter 9 Rebate and reliefs. Rebate and relief. Clause 3115 Clause 155 rebate to be allowed in computing income tax. Clause 156 rebate of income tax in case of certain individual. See, clause 157 relief when salary etc. is paid in arrear and advance. Clause 158 relief for taxation in the income from retirement of benefit accounts maintained in notified country. Clause B double taxation relief. Clause 159 agreement with foreign country or specific territory or adaptation of central government in agreement with the specific association of double taxation relief. Clause 160 income from in with which no agreement exists. Chapter 10 special provision related to avoidance of tax. Clause 161 computation of income from international transactions, specific domestic transactions which are regarded as arm's length prices. Clause 162 meaning of associated enterprises. Clause 163 meaning of international transaction. Clause 164 meaning of specific domestic transaction. Clause 165 determination of arm's length price. Clause 166 term trans reference to transfer pricing officer. Clause 167 price of the board to make safe harbor rules. Clause 168 advance pricing agreement. Clause 169 effect of effect to advance pricing agreement. Clause 170 secondary adjustment in certain cases. Clause 171 maintenance and keeping of furnishing information and document by certain person. Clause 172 report from an accountant to be furnished by a person entering into international transaction or a specific domestic transaction. Clause 173 defined by certain terms relevant to termination of arm length prices. Clause 174 avoidance of income tax by transaction resulting in transfer of income to non-resident. Clause 175 avoidance of tax by certain transaction security. Clause 176 special relay measures in respect of transaction of the person located in notified judicial area. Clause 177 limitation on the interest reduction in certain cases. Chapters 11 General Anti-Avoidance Rule Clause 178 Applicability of General Anti-Avoidance Rule Clause 170 Impermissible Avoidance Agreement Clause 180 Arrangement to lack of commercial substance Clause 181 Consequence of Impermissible Avoidance Agreement Clause 182 Treatment of concerned person and accommodating party Clause 183 Applicable to this chapter Clause 184 Interpretation Chapter 1 Mode of payment certain cases. Clause 185 mode of taking or accepting certain loans or accepting certain deposits as accepting specified sum. Clause 186 mode of undertaking transaction. Clause 187 accepting a payment through specific electronic modes. Clause 188 mode of repayment of certain loans and deposit. Clause 189 interpretation. Chapter 13 determination of tax in special cases. A determination of tax in special cases. Class 190 determination of taxes where the total income include income on which no tax is payable. Class 191 taxes on accumulated balance for recognized provident fund. Class 192 tax on case of block asset for off surge cases. Class 193 tax on income from global depositors receipt purchase in a foreign currency or a capital gain arising from their transfer. Class 194 tax on certain income. Clause 195 tax on income referred to section 102, 103, 104, 105, 106. B. Special provision relating to tax on capital gain. Clause 196 tax on short-term capital gain asserting assets. Clause 197 tax on long-term capital gain. Clause 198 tax on a total tax on Total long-term capital gain in certain cases. Class A new tax regime. Class 199 tax on income certain manufactured domestic company. Class 200 tax on income certain domestic company. Class 201 tax on income of new manufactured domestic company. Class 202 new tax regime for individual, new tax regime for Hindu, under family and others. Class 203 income on tax on income certain residents and cooperative societies. Class 2204 income tax on income certain new manufacturer and cooperative society. Class 205 condition of tax on income certain companies and cooperative society. The special provision relating to minimum alternative tax and alternative minimum tax. Class 206 special provision of minimum alternative tax and alternative minimum tax. The special provision relating to non-resident and foreign company classes. Class 207 tax on dividend, tax on royalty, tax on technical service fees in foreign companies. Class 208 tax on income from the unit purchased from foreign currency and capital gain arising from such transfer. Class 209 income on tax on income of bond of global deposit receipt purchased in the foreign currency or capital gain arising from the transfer. Class 210 tax on income of foreign institution investor from securities or capital gain arising from such transfer. Class 211 tax on non-resident sportsmen and sports association. Class 212 interpretation. Class 213 special provision for computation of total income of non-resident. Class 214 tax on investment of income and long-term capital gain. Class 215 capital gain or transfer of foreign exchange asset not to be charged in certain cases. Class 215 return on income not to be furnished in certain cases. Class 215 benefit to be available in certain cases even when assessee becomes resident. Class 218 provision not to be applied if the assessee so chooses. Class 219 conversion of Indian branch of foreign company into subsidiary Indian company. Class 220 foreign company said to be a resident in India. We have special provision relating to pass through security. Class 2 Class 211 tax on income of securitization trust. Class 202 tax on income certain venture capital understanding. Class 203 tax on income of unit holders and business trust. Class 204 income on the tax on income of investment fund and unit holder. Class G special provision relating to income of house shipping company. Class 25 income from business of operating qualified ships. Class 206 tonnage tax schemes. Class 207 computation of tonnage income. Class 208 relevant shipping income and exposure exclusion of books profit. Class 209 depreciation and gain relating to tonnage tax assets. Class 230 exclusion of deduction loss and set off asset. Class 230 method of obtaining tonnage tax schemes and validity. Class 232 change condition of applicability of tonnage tax schemes. Class 223 amalgamation and demerger. Class 234 avoidance of tax and exclusion of tonnage tax schemes. Class 235 interpretation. Chapter 14 Tax Administration. Authority Jurisdiction Furnishers. Class 236 Income Tax Authority. Class 237 Appointment of Income Tax Authority. Class 238 Control of Income Tax Authority. Class 239 Instruction to be Subordinate Authority. Class 240 Taxpayer Charter. Class 241 Jurisdiction of Income Tax Authority. Class 242 Jurisdiction of Assessing Officer. Class 243 Power to Transfer Cases. Class 244 Changes in Incumbent of Office. Class 245 Faceless Jurisdiction of Income Tax Authority. B. Power. 246 Power regarding discovery, production of evidence, etc. Class 247 Power and seizure. 248 Class 248 Power to re-inquire, requestation. Class 249 Reason not to be disclosed. Class 250 Application of seized and requested assets. Class 251 Copying, extract and retention and release of books of accounts and documentation seizure are confiscated. Class 252 power to call for information. Class 253 power for survey. Class 254 power to collect certain information. Class 255 power to inspect registry of companies. Class 256 power to continue competent authority. Class 257 proceeding before income tax authority to be judicial proceeding. Class 258 disclosure of information relating to assess. Class 259 power to call for information by prescribed income tax authority. Class 260 faceless collection of information. Class 261 interpretation. Chapter 15 return of income. Allotment permanent account number 262 permanent account number. B filing of return of income proceeding. Class 263 return of income. Class 264 scheme of submission of return through taxpayer preparers. Class 265 return by whom to be verified. Class 266 self assessment. Class 266 tax on updated return. Chapter 16 procedure for assessment. A procedure for assessment. Class 268 inquiry before assessment. Class 269 estimation of value of asset by valuation officer. Class 270 assessment. Class 271 best judgment assessment. Class 272 power of joint commissioner to issue direction to certain cases. Clause 272 faceless assessment. Clause 274 reference to principal commissioner and commission certain cases. Clause 275 reference to dispute resolution panel. Clause 271 method of accounting. Clause 277 method of accounting certain cases. Clause 278 taxation of certain income. Clause 279 income escaping assessment. Clause 280 issue of notice. Clause 281 procedure before issuance of notice under section 280. Clause 288 time limit for notice in section 280 and 281. Clause 234, 3 to 83 provision for cases where assessment is in the procedure of an order of an appeal. Clause 284 sanction of issue of notice. Clause 285 other provision. Clause 286 time limit for completion of assessment, completion of reassessment, completion of recomputation. Clause 287 rectification of mistake. Clause 288 other amendment. Clause 289 notice of demand. Clause 299 modification and revision of notice in certain cases. Clause 291 intimation of losses. B. Special procedure for assessment of research or search cases. Clause 292 assessment of income pertaining to block period. Clause 223 computation of total income of block period. Clause 284 procedure for block assessment. Clause 295 disclosure of income of other person. Clause 296 time limit for completion of block assessment. Clause 297 certain interest and penalties not to be levied or not to be imposed. Clause 298 a levy of interest and levy of penalty in certain cases. Clause 299 authority competent to make assessment in block period. Clause 300 application of provision of act. Clause 301 interpretation. Chapter 17 special provision relating to certain persons. Association of person, firm, Hindu and family, HUF. Legal representative. Clause 302 legal representative. Legal representative assessee is general provision. Clause 303 representative assessee. Clause 303 304 liability for representation assessee. Clause 305 right of representation assessee to recover tax paid. 3 representative assessee special cases. Clause 306 who may be regarded as agent. Clause 307 change in tax where the share of beneficiary is unknown. Clause 308 charge of tax in case of oral trust. 4. Association of persons and body of individual. Clause 309. Method of computing member share in the income of association of person or a body of individual. Clause 310. Share of member of association of person or a body of individual in the income of association or body. Clause 311. Charge of tax where as a chair of member in association of person or a body of individual is unknown, etc. 5 executors, clause 315 executors, clause 6 succession in the business or profession, clause 113 succession to business or profession otherwise than on death, clause 314 effect of a order of tribunal or a court in respect of a business organization, clause 7 partition, clause 115 assessment after partition of Hindu and Indian family, 8 profit of non-resident from occasional shipping business, clause 116 316 shipping business of non-resident, 9 person leaving India, clause 317 assessment of one person leaving India, 10 clause 318 assessment of association of person or assessment of body of individual, assessment of artificial judicial person formed for particular event or particular purpose, person trying to alienate their asset, clause 319 assessment of person likely to transfer property to avoid tax, 12 discontinuance of business or dissolution, clause 312 discontinued business, clause 321 associated dissolved or business discontinued, clause 322 company in liquidation, 13 private companies, clause 323 liability of directors of private company, 14 assessment of firms, clause 324 assess charge of tax in case of firms, clause 325 assessment of firms, clause 326 assessment when section 325 is not complied with, 15 change in constitution, succession and dissolution, clause 326 change in constitution of firm, clause 328 succession of one firm by another firm, clause 329 joint and several liability of partner for tax payable of firm, clause 330 firm dissolved or business continued, 16 liability of partner of limited liability partnership in liquidation, clause 311 liability of partner of limited liability partnership in liquidation. B. Special provision for registration of non-profit organization. Registration. Clause 332 application for registration. Clause 333 switching over regimes to income of registered non-profit organization. Clause 234 in tax on income of registered non-profit organization. Clause 235 regular income. Clause 236 taxable regular income. Clause 337 specified income. Clause 338 income not to be included in regular income. Clause 339 corpus donation. Clause 340 deemed corpus donation. Clause 341 come application of income. Clause 342 accommodation income. Clause 343 deemed accumulated income. C3 commercial activity by registered non-profit organization. Clause 344 business undertaking held as property. Clause 345 restriction on commercial activity by registered non-profit organization. Clause 346 restriction on commercial activity by registered non-profit organization. Um, Organization carried out advancement in any other objective of general public utility. 4 compliances. Clause 345 books of account. Clause 348 audit. Clause 349 return of income. Clause 350 permitted mode of investment. Clause 351 specified was violation. Clause 352 tax on asserted income. Clause 353 other violation. 6 approval of purpose of reduction in section 133 1B2. 354 application for approval for purpose of section 133 1B4 interpretation, 355 class 355 interpretation, chapter 18 appeal revise alternative dispute resolution appeal. On appeal with joint commissioner appeal and commissioner of appeals. Clause 2 356 appeal order before joint commissioner. Clause 357 appeal order before commissioner. Clause 358 form of appeal and limitation. Clause 359 procedure in appeal. Clause 360 power of joint commissioner and power of commissioner of appeal. To appeal to appellant tribunal. Clause 361 appeal tribunal. Clause 362 appeal to appellant tribunal. Clause 363 order of appeal tribunal. Clause 364 procedure for appeal tribunal. Appeal in High Court. Clause 365 appeal to High Court. Clause 366 in case before High Court to be heard by not less than two judges. Appeal to Supreme Court. Clause 367 appeal to 60 Court. Clause 368 hearing before Supreme Court. Clause 370 execution of cost. Clause 369 tax to be paid irrespective of appeal. Clause 370 execution of cost awarded by Supreme Court. Clause 371 admission of assessment on appeal. Clause 372 exclusion of time taken for copy. Clause 373 filing of appeal by income tax authority. Clause 374 interpretation of High Court. B. Special provision of avoiding repetitive appeal. Clause 365. Procedure when assessee claim identical question of law is pending before High Court or Supreme Court. Clause 376. Proceeding where identical question of law is pending before High Court or Supreme Court. C. Revision for principal commissioner. Clause 3677. Revision order prejudicial to revenue. Clause 378. Revision other orders. D. Alternative dispute resolution. Dispute Resolution Committee in certain cases. Clause 379 Dispute Resolution Committee to advance ruling. Clause 380 Interpretation. Clause 381 Board of Advance Ruling. Clause 382 Vacancies not to be invalidating procedures. Clause 383 Application of avoidance advance ruling. Clause 384 Procedure on receipt of application. Clause 385 Appeal authorities not to proceed in certain cases. Clause 386 Advance ruling to be void in certain circumstances. Clause 387 Power of board and advance ruling. Clause 388 Procedure for board for advance ruling. Clause 389 Appeal. Chapter 19 Collection and recovery of tax. A general. Clause 390 Deduction for collection at source and advance payment. Clause 391 Direct payment. B. Reduction of source of collection at source. Clause 392 Salary and accumulated balance due to employee. Clause 393 Tax to be deducted source. Clause 394 Collection on tax at source. Clause 397 Certificate. Clause 396 Tax deducted income received. Clause 397 Complaints and reporting. Clause 398 Consequence of failure to deduct and pay tax and collected tax. Clause 399 Proceeding. Clause 400 Power of central government to relax provision of the chapter. Clause 401 bar against direct demand on assessee. Clause 402 interpretation. Advance payment of tax. Clause 403 liability of payment of advance tax. Clause 408 condition for liability to pay advance tax. Clause 405 computation of advance tax. Clause 406 payment of advance tax to assessee on its own record. Clause 407 payments of advance tax to assessee in pursuant in order of assessing officer. Clause 408 installment of advance tax and due tax. Clause 409 when assessee is deemed to be in default. Clause 410 credit of advance tax. D. Collection and recovery. Clause 411 when tax payable when assessee deemed in default. Clause 412 penalty payable when tax in default. Clause 10413 certificate of tax recovery officer and validity therefore. Clause 414 tax recovery officer by whom recovery to be effected. Clause 415 stay of proceeding in procedures of certificate. Amendment and cancellation therefore. Clause 416 other mode of recovery. Clause 417 recovery through state government. Clause 4 in recovery of tax in persons of agreement with foreign countries. Clause 419 recovery of penalties, fine, interest and other sums. Clause 420 tax clearance certificate. Clause 421 recovery by suit and other law are not affected. Clause 422 recovery of tax arrear in respect of non-resident form of asset. The interest chargeable in certain cases. Clause 423 interest or fault in furnishing right return on income. Clause 424 interest on default in payment of advance tax. Clause 425 interest on deferment of advance tax. Clause 426 interest on excess refund. You have levy of fee in certain cases. You levy. Clause 427 fee for default in furnishing return. 428 fee for default in furnishing return of income. 429 fee for default relating to statement of certificate. Clause 430 fee for defaulting relating to intimation of Aadhaar number. Chapter 20 refund for class 431 refund. Clause 432 person entitled to claim refund certain specific classes. Clause 433 form of claim of refund and limitation. Clause 434 refund for denying liability deduct taxes in certain cases. Clause 435 refund on appeal. Clause 436 correction of assessment not to be questioned. Clause 437 interest on refund. Clause 438 set off and withholding of refund certain cases. Chapter 21 penalties. Clause 439 penalties for underreporting and misreporting of income. Clause 440 immunity for imposition of penalty. Clause 441 failure to maintain, failure in retaining books of account and documentation. Clause 442 penalty for failure to keep and maintain of information and documents in respect of certain transaction. Uh, Clause 443 penalty with respect to certain income. Clause 444 penalty of false entry in the books of account. Clause 445 benefit of related person. Clause 446 failure to get account audited. Clause 447 Clause 448 penalty for failure to deduct tax at source. Clause 449 penalty failure of correct tax at source. Clause 450 penalty for failure to comply with the provision of section 185. Clause 451 penalty for failure to comply with the provision of 186. Clause 452 penalty for failure to comply with the provision of 187. Clause 453 penalty to failure to comply with the provision of section 188. Clause 454 penalty to failure to furnish statement of financial transaction reportable account. Clause 455 penalty for furnishing inaccurate statement of financial transaction or. Mm, Transactional reportable account reporting accountable account. Clause 456 penalty for failure to furnish statement, information or document by eligible investment fund. Clause 457 penalty for failure to furnish information or document section 171. Clause 458 penalty for failure to furnish information or document under section 506. Clause 459 penalty for failure to furnish report or to furnish inaccurate report section 511. Clause 460 penalty for failure to submit statement and section 505. Clause 461 penalty for failure to furnish statement. Clause 462 penalty for failure to furnish information or furnishing inaccurate information under section 397 3D. Clause 463 penalty for furnishing incorrect information or report or certificate. Clause 463 penalty for failure to furnish statement. Clause 465 penalty for failure to answer question, failure to sign statement, failure to furnish information, failure to return or statement allows or failure to allow inspection. Clause 460 is penalty for failure to comply with provision 269. Clause 469 penalty for failure to comply with provision section 262. Clause 468 penalty to failure to comply with the provision of section 397(1). Clause 469 power to reduce or waive penalty in certain cases. Clause 470 penalty not to be imposed in certain cases. Clause 471 procedure. And Clause 472 bar of a limitation of imposing penalty. Chapter 22 offences and prosecution. Section 4 Clause 463 contravention of order made under Section 247. Clause 474 failure to comply with Section 247 1B2. Clause 475 removal, concealment, transfer or delivery of property to prevent tax recovery. Clause 476 failure to pay tax or credit to central government is like chapter 19B. Clause 1447 failure to pay tax at source. Clause 478 willful attempt to evade tax. Clause 479 failure to furnish return of income. Clause 480 failure to furnish return of income in such cases. Clause 481 failure to proceed to produce accounts and document. Clause 482 failures false statement and verification. Clause 483 falsification of books of accounts and documentation. Clause 484 amendment of false return. Clause 485 punishment for second and subsequent offence. Clause 486 punishment not to be imposed in certain cases. Clause 487 offences for by company. Clause 488 offences by Hindu and Indian family. Clause 489 presumption as to tax assets, books of account, etc. in certain cases. Clause 419 presumption as to culpable mental state. Clause 491 prosecution in the instance of principal chief commissioner, a chief commissioner, principal commissioner, commissioner. Clause 492 certain offences to be non-cognizable. Clause 493 proof of entry in the records or document. Clause 494 disclosure of particular by several public servant. Clause 497 special clause. Clause 496 offences triable to special court. Clause 497 trial of offences and summon cases. Clause 498 application of Bharatiya Nyaya Suraksha Sankita 2023 to proceeding before special courts. Clause 298 application of Bharat Nyaya Sankisha Suraksha Sankita 2023 to before a special court. Chapter 23 miscellaneous. Clause 499 certain transfer to be void. Clause 500 provision attachment to protect revenue certain cases. Clause 501 service of notable general. Clause 502 authentication of notice and the document. Clause 503 service of notice and families dispute or firm is dissolved. Clause 504 service of notice in case of discontinued business. Clause 505 submission of statement of non-resident having liaison office. Clause 506 furnish of information or furnish of document by Indian concerned in certain cases. Clause 507 submission of statement of producers of cinematography films and person engaged in specified activities. Clause 508 obligation to furnish statement of financial transaction reportable account. Clause 509 obligation to furnish information on transaction of crypto. Clause 510 annual information system. Clause 511 furnishing of report in respect of international group. Clause 512 publication of information respecting assessing certain cases. Clause 503 appearance of registered value certain manner. Clause 514 registration of values. Clause 515 appearance of authorized representative. Clause 516 rounding of amount of total income tax payable refundable. Clause 517 receipt in given case. Clause 518 indemnity. Clause 515 power to tender immunity for prosecution. Clause 512 cognizable offense. Clause 521 Prohibition of Offenders Act 1958 and Section 401 of Bharatiya Raksha Sanhita 2023 not to apply. Clause 522 return of income etc. not to be invalid certain grounds. Clause 2 523 notice deemed to be valid in certain circumstances. Clause 524 presumption to assets block of books of section books of account. Clause 525 authorization and assessment in case of sales and requirement. Clause 526 bar of suits in civil court. Clause 527 power to make exemption etc. in relation to participation in the business of prospecting etc. for extraction or mineral oils. Clause 530 power of central government or board to condone delay in obtaining approval. Clause 529 power to withdrawal approval. Clause 530 the act to have effect of pending litigation provision in certain taxes. Clause 531 power to rescind exemption in relation to certain union territory already granted section 294A income tax act 1961. Clause 2 540 532 power to frame schemes. Clause 533 power to make rules. Clause 534 levy before parliament. Clause 535 removal of difficulties. Clause 536 repair and savings. Schedule 1, Schedule 2, Schedule 3, Schedule 4, Schedule 5, Schedule 6, Schedule 7, Schedule 8, Schedule 9, Schedule 10, Schedule 11, Schedule 12, Schedule 13, Schedule 14, Schedule 15, Schedule 16. These are all the schedules as per the new Income tax bill 2025. So I have read every section, every bill. Thank you for listening. Jai Hind.